Welcome back to the farm, everyone. I call this invention cheaper than a fuel trailer. It even has a logo. Yeah. Diesel exhaust fluid. The tractors don't burn very much. We can leave home without topping off the def tanks for multiple days in a row on the 8Rs. Today is day 3, and I'm concerned that I might run out, so if I throw 5 gallons in, it should get us through the day. Helena's out this morning starting custom side dress on our earlier planted corn. Look how big this stuff is getting. That's probably a foot tall at least. It's growing like crazy, except for where someone may have slowed down with the sprayer and over applied some HPPDs. That happens, and that corn actually will probably come out of that, even though it looks a little rough right now. At the rate this corn is growing now, you almost have to get it side dressed because there's 2 inches of rain in the forecast. I believe tomorrow morning through night, strong storms, rain. The applicator called me first thing. I was surprised because he was concerned that this field was too wet. I actually appreciate the concern. I know these farms well enough to know that if this spot looks like this and it's not even damp on top, it's time to go. I mean, we would be working this and planting it. I'm not making fun of the guy at all. I actually think it's a really good sign that the guy running the bar cares about what he's doing, doesn't want to do a bad job, because this is ready to go. Maybe there's a wet spot somewhere that spooked him a little bit. That's fine. Appreciate someone who actually doesn't want to mess something up. That's not to be confused with someone like myself who perpetually messes things up, like this spot here where I bleach the corn. I hate to say anything about how this corn looks right now because it might jinx us. You guys evaluate for yourselves. $20 or $30 utility jug or $30,000 fuel and def trailer. The trailer looks cooler and is probably more useful. This is more economical. Fits our budget. Hey dog. Good day to be a black dog in the sunshine. Neighbors making us look bad. Bill Uphoff already beat us to the fields this morning. It looks great. This is what Dad finished up with last night. He has 17 acres left to do today. I've got quite a bit more. It should all work, so it should be done. And if everything goes smoothly, I may try to finish spraying everything today. It's going to be windy and rainy tomorrow. This morning we're loading up a little clean out special, if you will. Farmers are familiar with that term. It's when you take all of your extra clean out bags and throw them in together to get rid of them because you've already paid for them. We still have some beans to pick up. If we have a bunch of these extra, they're essentially worthless and expensive beans that we didn't need. When we switch varieties, particularly from long season to short season beans, we dump the planter. Sometimes we're a little long on our estimates and we get a lot of bags. Other times we're pretty close. Regardless, we might as well dump them in at some point and get them out. So we have a 3-1 Pioneer bean and a 3-8 here. This afternoon we're going to be planting the 3-8, so we're going to go ahead and dump these in, account for them on our math, so when we pick up our beans for the rest of this field, we can deduct this and not have a bunch extra. We've also got some 4.0s over there, but because we're planting 3-8s, we're fine with anything 3-8 and under maturity. Anything over becomes a harvestability moisture issue if they don't mature at the same time and we don't get to them. So we're going to wait on those, and when we pick up the 4.0s for our last field, we'll do the math adding those. I'm estimating about 8 units here total. I know there's more than 8 bags. If you look, they're not all full completely of beans. So I'm thinking 8 beans or 8 units of beans. It's probably not good to start the conveyor under a load like that. I found this to be the easiest way to do this. Oh, I think the rye has been terminated. Does not look like it is healthy and alive anymore. There's also some sprayer tracks out there. They let it get some size. That's a lot of biomass accumulated. I'm up here at our Pioneer dealer Bruce's place, getting my second to last load of beans, hopefully, for the year, unless we have to do some sort of crazy replanting. Looks like he got his corn plot planted right there. Nice seed bed. And then he planted some late March beans as well. Look how good those appear. Nice and lush and green. The beans love this heat, or the heat we had last week. I guess it's not that warm today. They're going to start growing real fast, just like the corn I showed you earlier. I believe Bruce and Wes and John are done planting on their own acres. All they have left to do now is start spraying some of their own early corn and also service their customers, which is probably the first priority. Not that it's not all season, but definitely now that they're done. I should rephrase that. They service everyone really well, even when they are planting. Now they can just completely focus on that. I'm waiting on Wes because he's at a customer's right now. Look at these beans. Why is it when you look at the neighbor's fields, you always think they look great, and then you look at your own and you think they look terrible? Is it just like a neighborly comparison thing where your fields actually look decent too, you just can't accept that? Or maybe our fields do look bad. Bruce is a really good farmer, so I wouldn't be surprised if his fields don't look better than ours. There's a guy we've been waiting on for like 3 minutes. Wes runs the treating operation here. Bruce got his American flag flying today. Northerly wind. Dad's already finished his field and gone home. There's a neighbor across the road planting corn. I'm just now firing up planting beans a few hours later. I'm a slowpoke. Maybe we can stop for a fishing break. Wow, these are surprisingly the best ground conditions I've planted into in the last 5 days of running hard. This is also usually one of our lowest yielding farms, so I don't know that there's going to be any correlation at the end of the season. I'm ashamed to admit it, ladies and gentlemen, I just screwed up in the most embarrassing way. There is literally one wet hole in the middle of this field. It's probably 15 foot long by 15 foot wide. I wasn't paying attention, I'll be honest, and I planted right through the middle of it, and I am very lucky that I didn't just bury this tractor. I felt the tractor start to pull down real hard as I was going through and immediately knew what I'd done. I'm making sure all the True V openers aren't plugged. Sometimes if you get into really bad mud, you'll plug them up so bad you gotta dig them out. Call myself lucky, it looks like they're good. Wow, that could have been bad. I went straight through that. The amazing part is that the wheels still close the trench. If that spot had been any longer, I probably would have been stuck. The tractor spun right through it fine. It was the planter that started to drag down. That's where all that mud came from. I was just dragging it out with me as it pulled. Tractor got on dry ground and really didn't have too much issue getting it out. What an embarrassing mess. If the whole field was a swamp and you were just mudding this in, if you got stuck, that'd just be kind of part of what you were doing. I literally just commented that this is the best field I've been in so far. There's just either a old oil well site or I don't know, maybe a tile issue there. It's always wet, and I managed to hit the one spot in this entire field that I could get stuck in. I drove right through it because I wasn't paying attention. I even saw it like 2 rounds ago. I'm like, I'm just gonna treat it like a spot we're not farming, go around it and close it up. No, dummy here drove right through it. Got lucky. Dry everywhere except for that spot. A lot of planters running around here today. Hopefully most guys can get a big chunk knocked out before the rain moves in tomorrow. So much dust flying over here today. Happy to see that for once. Whoa! Might be blocking the road here. Sorry neighbors if you come by. No one right now.
Hello?
Are you around home?
Yeah?
Will you put those 4.0s in the seed tender, the bags?
Put the bags in the seed tender.
Yeah. I assume those fields down in Yoga are going to work.
I don't know. Well, either way they can go in the seed tender.
I expected Dad to know more than he obviously did. Jeff, how's that working up down there?
It's pretty good. I'm working it second time.
Dad.
Hello.
He's at the lake. He said he'll plant.
Yeah, he said he's working it a second time.
Bye.
Okay. The field I'm in now is going to have multiple wet spots. Most of the last field and then all this field are the Pioneer 38Z 63, 67, the 38Z series Pioneer bean. And then the last two fields I have down in Yoga to finish up today, hopefully, are a 4.0 Pioneer bean. That's why this morning we dumped those 3.1s and the 3.8s in that we had extra, and then we'll finish it all up with the 4.0s, and then we can dump and then get ready to replant if we need to. As of right now, from what I've seen, there are a few areas where we might spot some in. I've not seen anything that needs a broad brush replanting, so I think we're in pretty good shape currently. I did notice when I was planting a couple days ago on the hill across the road of 45, the corn was really thin, so I don't know if it was just behind, we maybe planted a little too wet, or it had some complete emergence issues. I tasked Dad when he was done planting today to go look at that so we get it replanted ahead of the rains tomorrow. Don't know if he's going to get to it or not. We will see. There's a little bit of roll to this one. Like the rest of the farms, it doesn't look to be as productive as some of ours, yet if it rains, it can yield with the best of them. This one does have a few wet holes I had to plan around. With all of this slope here on the north end, there's terraces, diversions. Sometimes they have to be replanted if it rains, sometimes they don't. Every year's different. Just need a few timely rainfalls in June, July, and August, and 80 plus bushel beans are on the table here as well. We just finished another big field. 2 more to go and we're done. And here comes the road oil. There was a quad track that went down the road about an hour ago. Look at the tracks it left. Chris, we about need a wider culvert here. Field cultivator went right through the ditch. Keep going. Whoa! I'm really proud of myself on this. I eyeballed the amount of beans I had in the tank and those bags I had of clean out. I calculated all that with my estimation, and that is how many beans I was left with on that last field. I'm normally not ever that right, and I'll probably run out too soon on this field. But look at that. Maybe a unit and a half total extra. 2 if you're being generous. Not bad work for an amateur. Unless we help out a neighbor, that should be our last fill of the year. Or I guess if we have to replant a bunch. I left the engine running on the tender, shut the fuel line off so it'll run out, get it ready for storage. When this thing gets so dirty. There's not a whole lot of activity here north of Neoga, east of Lake Mattoon, until I started planting and this guy's disking across the field. This ground just comes up chunky, especially because we have really poor grass control. those roots come out, and it's just kind of rough. I'm going slower than I normally do just to make sure my units get a chance to actually put the seed in the ground and not on top of the ground when it bumps over some of the sod we pulled up. I can't recall if I mentioned we're back to the Pioneer 40 Z57s. Long season bean, good on some lower productivity soil. This ground here around Neoga is very challenging to work with. Part of the reason you don't see some of the guys running right now is because it is a little wet. I mentioned that we have that grass and the roots are holding together, all because we probably have a long-standing seed bank issue from not spraying this stuff in the fall. Might need to be added to the list yearly, regardless of corn or soybean rotation. This stuff did come up chunky. Jeff worked it twice. Some spots still a little chunky, but you can see how much it dries out. And the third tillage pass is that planter row unit. So imagine that this is what it looked like after 2 tillage passes. Still not that great. And once that no-till coulter, the press wheels, the True V opener, and the closing spike wheels come through on that planter with that hydraulic downforce, you actually get a pretty good alley here for the seed. Is it perfect? No. This type of ground is very hard to get to work perfectly unless you get a long string of dry weather. They've not had that down here. It's forgiving to tillage. And the one thing that these guys will not tell you is that although their ground is white and shocky, if it rains during the growing season, they can grow just as good a corn as some of the guys up in central Illinois on the really black dirt. This farm last year was planted into corn probably mid to late May. Nothing exceptional done management wise. It's not that big. It's probably 2/3 surrounded by trees. As you can see, it's got a lot of drainage issues, and it's still made right around 230 dry. Imagine if this didn't have 7 or 8 acres afflicted by tree lines. Ground like this, even on a lackluster year nowadays, can grow 250 bushel corn. They don't want you to know that though. It's good stuff, just very hard to work with. It doesn't dry like the black dirt. It stays cool, stays wet. Eventually you just gotta work it. Second to last field is done. We're headed right north of Neoga, small little patch. If we get that done without breaking down, we're running out of seed, we're done planting beans. Look around, there's just not a lot done yet. Oh, and there's Jeff headed north. He had to rework the field I'm going to twice as well. I retract my statement. There is progress sporadically about the countryside here. Walks have some corn planted, it looks like. We are on our last field right now. It is a little bit tacky out here. Jeff worked up some mud balls. You can see the Neoga school that got hit by the tornado. You look a little bit over to the west, you can see TGM's big fancy new grain leg they're putting up. Yeah. I think if we had given this more time to air out, it looked a lot closer to that field we were just on. Our lack of patience probably isn't always our friend. Once I get this done and moved home, I've got a date with the sprayer for about 500 or 600 acres this evening. That is the wettest field that I've planted by far. I don't know if we were just too close to tillage. The ground was still really damp. They should come up. If not, it's a small one. Switched over to the other office. Great evening for spraying. Virtually no wind. Keep the boom a little higher, make my life a little easier. Hopefully we hammer some stuff out. Got about 100 acres done so far out of 500. It's gonna be a long evening. We're off to a pretty good start, averaging right around 100 acres an hour. That's phenomenal for me. And I've been on some lackluster farms. Once I get this core acreage knocked out, I am going to have to do a little bit of road time. So hopefully I'm in home by midnight. I think it's possible, I just don't know what to expect. I am about halfway done on this spraying project. I cannot reiterate enough how nice it is that it's not windy, because I can put my boom a little higher and just run. I don't have to worry about it drifting on the neighbor. Not that what I'm spraying is really a drift hazard. It's just the peace of mind of having your boom high enough. I'm going over uneven terrain, terraces, tile inlets, different things, and not having to hit the ground, all those headaches that come with that. I'm thankful for my brother-in-law Nate driving the tanker for me tonight. We're approaching 10 p.m. I know he's got kids and work in the morning. I need someone to drive the tanker. He's just got to get me filled up 2 more times and then we're done. Or he's done. I'll probably have another hour after that. This field's 90 acres. Should make pretty good progress on it fast. Like everything I've sprayed with the skinny tires on, I'm just setting up my soybean post line. I want to show you guys something really cool about this Gen 5 monitor that I didn't even realize till 3 fields ago. I just use the A+ heading to set my line. I run at a slight angle. I really don't have an angle in mind. So right here I'm lined up at 280. That's probably going to be pretty steep. Back it off to like 277, see where that puts us. Now what I didn't know is you can actually zoom out while you're creating your line and see your overlap. So if you guys can see this right here, I'm gonna have a little pointer over here at 277. So if I come back in, maybe 275, that gets me a pretty good line there. I'm not gonna have to come back and spray, I don't think. The only thing this is lacking is I wish it showed how wide your path was. That way you knew for sure whether or not you were gonna have to come back. I think I'm just gonna do 274. That's pretty slick. Resume. Gauge. You have to remember to put it back on tracking mode, and I do have a bug in the cab. Tracking mode. My screen is stuck on the camera. Glitched out on me. I'll have to restart next time I fill. Everything's running because I'm watching my rate controller up here. We're fine other than just not being able to see our speed. That feels like about 16 mile an hour, maybe 17. Just loaded up for the last time. I'll be honest, I'm dragging a little bit right now. Got 50 acres left to spray. Some of it involves a little bit of road travel. Got to get it done before it rains. If it doesn't rain, I'm gonna be a little bit frustrated that I ran so late into the night. If it does rain, not gonna regret this at all. After a long evening and night of spraying, we are headed back home. The one advantageous thing about running around this time of night is there's hardly any traffic. It makes it so much easier to go down the highways because you literally meet no one. No one's out. I'm ready to be in bed though, so I'll be there shortly. Stayed up very late last night to finish spraying those soybean residuals. Go figure, this morning it sprinkled a little bit and then quit. Tonight's the big rain. I'm still happy with my decision to play it safe. We've cleaned the sprayer out, dumped all the extra in here. We're pretty much clean. Switched over to my corn post nozzles. These are the Greenleaf twin dual asymmetric fans, so air inducted, dual spray angles. Should get a lot of coverage, should get pretty even droplet size because they're air inducted. Yes, these drops are silly. They're about the only way on this boom to get a twin tip nozzle to spray without hitting parts of this. So I put them on like that. It helps with the flow. We've got clean water in the tank. We're gonna go ahead and run a quick pattern check. And if everything looks good, we will probably go spray a couple fields of corn. There is a breeze today, so we don't really want to get too gung-ho. Be a little careful when we go. I'm basically just looking for anything that stands out to me as problematic. That's what these nozzles look like. One is pointing slightly forward. I'm looking at this in reverse. The smaller nozzle is angled slightly backwards, and then the bigger nozzle's got a more drastic shot on it. The other ones are all flipped. I prefer to have the smaller one going kind of down and then the bigger one backwards. I like the idea of the bigger droplets getting a little bit of a different speed trajectory and swirling. I'm not really seeing anything that's standing out to me as incorrect. None of them hitting against the frame. Decent looking pattern. This one's definitely backwards. It's really easy to tell because it's shooting a lot of water forward. I see a drip. These two were putting out kind of weird patterns. This one here is probably partially plugged. I see something in it. They're both pretty beat up. Look at how the holes, orifices, whatever you want to call them, are broken. I think I'm just going to throw them away. I've got spares in the cab. Start fresh with good non-damaged ones. They didn't come damaged. The guy who runs the sprayer probably damaged them. I replaced those two nozzles. We're gonna load up and go spray corn. I think I'm gonna name the older tanker the Ugly Duckling. Look at the newer one. And it's not newer in terms of age, they're within a couple of years of each other, but this other one that I've got the corn chemical in is just a really nice looking tanker. The older one just doesn't quite have the shine to it. Ugly Duckling and Hot Rod. Silver Bullet. Tin Can. I don't know. We'll come up with something. You guys work on that. We are headed to spray one of our two fields. The Uphoff boys are running hard today. They've got two tractors working corn stalks. I assume a third tractor working soybean stubble. Everyone's trying to get as much done as they can ahead of this rain tonight. My phone's showing anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches. That very well could put us into June if we get any more rains here in the next week. We could use a rain on some of the stuff we planned the last week. There was a lot of sins committed, and sometimes a rain is the great equalizer, the cleanser, if you will. Can you see our corn stand on the hillside here? Really spotty. Some of the spots are super thin over there compared to the lower area where we got a nice lush green corn crop coming up. Again, I don't know if this was the soil type being the issue, if our tillage was the issue, the rain we got after. There could be a combination of all three. One of the more interesting things that happened here is I ran out of my March burn down, the 2,4-D and Roundup I sprayed. There was probably a strip here, 120 foot wide, maybe the entire round, if not half of the, not round through, one pass with the sprayer. It was noticeably worse. I mean, significantly worse in terms of that winter annual pressure. Yes, it's been so long since we sprayed the burn down. We had some minor weeds coming up kind of in the other areas, nothing that tillage couldn't really take care of. On this hill though, it was really bad. I'm sure that played somewhat of a role, but I did get this sprayed here and we do have a little bit of a spotty stand, so I'm guessing that this soil didn't like that hard rain, maybe the wet tillage we did, and that's where we're at. It's been side dressed, about to finish the last spray on it, and then we shouldn't have to come back out here until fungicide time. There's a fence sprayer. I really want to try one of those. They look awesome. I'm sure they've got their same set of problems like every machine does. We are technically currently caught up on everything that needs done. Some neighbors over there working ground, nice dusty conditions. I hope they're getting a good seed bed. I'm sure they are at this point. I'm gonna go do some stand counts on some soybean fields where they look a little thin. Maybe think about replanting them either after the rain or maybe even tonight, depending on how it looks. Here's where I showed you the side dress bar running yesterday. They did a really good job. They've been using AutoPath, so our implement guidance lines off of our planter. They have access to our operations center account and they can export the files for the lines and then use those to help steer. A little bit of a thin spot here in this corner. I was just showing you the job the side dress bars do. They added a closing wheel. I don't see it on this one, but behind this track they have a closing wheel. They used to just have the knife like this, and it kind of concerned me if it stayed dry after side dressing that maybe you'd lose some nitrogen in there. Maybe not. The worst row is always here where the tractor ran, so you can see that sealed up nicely. I guess they only did it on the row where the tractor and the side dress bar run, not just the tractor. So you can see that one's open pretty good. If we get a good inch of rain tonight, it's not going to matter if these are open or not. Here's what I came out to show you, a thin spot of soybeans. This one's pretty easy. Not a lot of beans right here. Water stands, and we struggle to get a good population here versus out in the field. You can see we have pretty good amount of beans, except for maybe a few spots here and there. Some of those thin spots have enough beans in them that it's not worth driving the planter out there, running a bunch of good beans over just to do it. This spot is big enough. I think you just bring the DB60 down, unfold, zip in 200,000 plants per acre of a shorter season bean. These are a 3.8 Pioneer. We'd probably go with a 3.1. Sometimes they're still coming. You can see that this one right here is newly emerged. Either they suffocated because of the standing water, or the standing water and this white chalky ground crusted it in like that one right there, and it basically just either broke its neck or rotted in the ground. There are still some in there. They're just not doing very well. We got a few spots like this, and it's never going to be your highest productivity area. You've got water issues. You might as well try to address it though, and at least get some beans here, because if you don't, you're gonna have weed issues, and we don't like weeds. Found one field that probably needs replanted sooner rather than later. We're gonna go try that. Just no-till into what's already been planted. Might as well give it a shot. Have I mentioned the corn looks good? I apologize, I pretty much skipped all the excitement of replanting beans, which is virtually no excitement at all. It's not the most fun task to do. As long as you have a game plan going into it, it's not that hard. According to the forecast, the meteorologists, the weather models, anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches coming tomorrow morning into midday. We'll get a little time to R&R, recuperate, and see whether or not we're gonna have to replant anymore. Because if it rains too much and stays too cold and rains again, we may have issues with some of the stuff we've planted coming up. We'll cross that bridge when it comes though. Whatever happens, we gotta deal with it. That's just kind of how farming goes. I still feel better having a lot of this planted as opposed to not having it planted. That's not to poke fun at anyone who still has progress to be made here in mid-May, mid to late May. If you're not done, it's not the end of the world. I just think that you start to lose a lot of your advantages on soybeans in particular. Corn, if you plant corn in June, it can still be phenomenal. We've seen it on our own farm. That's gonna be it for this video though. I'll be sure to keep you all updated. I appreciate you all tuning in. I sure hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!